Hey there, really quick before I get started, if you want a written downloadable PDF version of this pattern, click the link on the screen now in the description below or by going to clubcrochet.com/angler. Hey there, I'm Louie, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to crochet Angie the anglerfish. Look how cute Angie is. She's so cute. She's all dressed up for her first date or something. This pattern is actually a collaboration pattern with Philip Ha, aka Sir Pearl Grey. You can find his stuff at sirpearlgrey.com. I'll add links in the description below. He makes a lot of different animals, nerdy, fun things from video games. I'm a really big fan of his work, and so I reached out to see if he'd be interested in doing a pattern with Club Crochet, and this is what we came up with. So I hope you guys like it, and if you want to check out more of his stuff, again, the link should be in the description below or at sirpearlgrey.com. All right, well, without further ado, let's get hooking. For this pattern, you're going to need the following materials. I'm using all worsted weight yarn in colors purple, light purple, white, black, yellow. You can also use a separate color for the little bow, which is a very simple pattern, and I'll probably just explain at the end. You'll also need, because I'm using all worsted weight yarn, you'll need a size G 4mm crochet hook. And yeah, you also need some safety bead eyes and a darning needle for sewing pieces together, and a pair of scissors, of course, and some stuffing. There's a lot of little things. Okay, well, without further ado, let's get hooking. Let's start with our the small fins here. Okay, so for the small fins, we're going to be using the color B is what it's called in the pattern. We're going to start with this. This is our lighter color. In our case, it's our violet. And we're going to start by making a slip knot, as you can see I just did. And we're going to chain 4. This is for the small fin. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now starting into the second chain from the hook, we're going to single crochet into the next 3 chains. Okay, so we're going to single crochet 3. So we go 1, 2, and here's our third. There we go. And the small fins are worked in the flat, so we're going to actually turn, and we're going to chain 1. And for row 2, we're going to skip the chain and single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Okay, skip the chains, 1 and 2. And into this third stitch right here, we're going to actually do an increase, but we want to grab our next color. So let's get our main color prepared. So this is going to be our main color that we're working with, a darker purple. And we're going to work an increase into this last stitch. Okay, so we're going to start our increase. We're going to start our first single crochet of our increase right here. Okay, there we go. Now we'll place this new color in. Leave a little bit extra sticking out. Okay, so leave just a little bit extra because we're going to crochet back over it to hide it a little bit better. And we will go ahead and just single crochet around that. And we're going to do an increase, so we're doing 2 single crochets there. And to finish this row up, we're going to switch over, turn into our main color and pull that through. Okay. All right, we're going to flip it. Okay, now for row 3, we're going to chain 1. Now we're working in our main color, and we're going to do a single crochet into each stitch all the way down. So there should be 4 stitches in our main color. But you want to work around both this end and this end. You want to work around both of those little tail ends, just so it'll be easier to hide it. Okay, so we're to 1, make sure it's over the stitch like that, and there we go. 2, we'll pull them both tight, there we go. 3, and our last one right there. That's going to be 4. Okay, there we go. And to finish this up, we will chain 1. And let's go ahead and cut the yarn. You can cut it leaving a somewhat long end. You don't need it too long, just like that. And let's cut this other violet. There we go. We'll just pull it on through. There we go. And we'll sew this onto the body. You can kind of see how it's going to look. And you want to make 2 of these. Okay, so there's our first one. I'll go ahead and make another one, and then we'll move on to the tail. Okay, so the tail fin starts out very similarly. We'll be using our color B here. We'll go ahead and make a slip knot. And we're going to chain 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. We're going to skip our first chain right there. And for row 1, we're going to single crochet 4. 1 and 2 each chain along. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Then we're going to turn, chain 1. And for row 2, we're going to single crochet into the next 3 stitches, stopping 1 stitch early. So let's go ahead. So we're going to skip our chain and just single crochet 1, 2, and 3. So you can see we're stopping 1 early. We're leaving a little end here. Okay. Now we want to turn again, and this time we're going to chain 2. So 1 and 2. Okay. We're going to skip our chain, first chain, and we're going to single crochet into our second chain right here. Okay, single crochet into that second chain, and then we're going to single crochet into the next 3 stitches as well. So it's 1, 2, and 3. So there should be 4 stitches in total after that round. Okay, 1 into the chain and then the next 3 stitches. Okay, so for row 4, we will turn again and chain 1. And we'll just single crochet into each stitch, so just 4 stitches. Now we're going to do pretty much exactly what we did in the previous for the small fins here. For this last stitch here, we're going to halfway finish our single crochet, and we're going to grab our main color, our darker purple, leave a little bit extra end there, and we're just going to go ahead and hold it down and flip under, change to our new color, and just pull that through to finish up row 4. Okay, now for row 5, we're using this new color now. We want to turn and chain 1, and we want to single crochet into the next 4 stitches, but make sure that you're pulling this purple along, or you're crocheting around these 2 secondary colors as well. 1. There we go. 2, 3, and this last one right here will be, there we go, 4. Okay, that's going to be it for the tail. Now we can chain 1 with our main color there, and we can cut both of these ones. You want to leave a somewhat long end again, but not too long. Same thing with this secondary color, and we'll just go ahead. Oh, we already chained 1. We can just pull it all the way through, and we'll sew this onto the back of our anglerfish as we go. Okay, so for the next part, we'll be making the small teeth. Okay, so for the small teeth, as you can tell, there's going to be 2 different sizes of teeth. But for the small teeth, we're going to be using our white yarn here. We're going to make a slip knot. Put our crochet hook in there. And we will chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. Kind of hard to see. And then we will skip our first chain. And into our second chain for row 1, we're going to go into our second chain there, and we're just going to slip stitch once. We're yarning over, pulling through that, just like so. Okay, there we go. And for our second stitch, we will do a single crochet. Okay, so just slip stitch 1 and then single crochet 1. Okay, and now we can cut the yarn, and we'll just do a chain and just pull it all the way through. Now the trick with these teeth is you want to pinch the end over like that, so that way it looks like a sharp, more like a fang. There you go. Okay, so you want to go ahead and make 5 of these. Okay? All right, next up we're going to be making the large teeth, and we're going to go and make a slip knot here. And you want to chain 4 for the large teeth. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like our small teeth, we're going to skip our first chain. We'll make a slip stitch into our second chain right here. And then we'll do a single crochet into the next chain. And then into our final chain right here, we'll do a half double crochet. So we'll yarn over, go into that chain, pull it through, and pull through all the loops. Now we can cut our yarn and make a chain and just pull it all the way through. And then just like the small tooth, you want to pinch, make sure to pinch the end there so that it's sharp. There you go, and those are the large teeth. You'll have to make 7 of these large teeth and 5 of the small teeth. Okay, and here you can see, I'll just put the 2 next to each other. Oh, that's a large tooth. Here's the small teeth. Okay, we'll just put them next to each other so you can kind of see the size differences. There you go. Okay, so now we have finished up all the stitches in the flat, so we won't be turning for the rest of the pattern. So for the next part, we'll be making the fishing rod. The fishing rod is what we're calling this right here, and it actually has a scientific name, which I am blanking on right now, but it's most known as the fishing rod because an anglerfish actually uses it to fish for. It uses it to attract prey, and then it bites them up. So we'll be making this fishing rod next. All right, so for the fishing rod, we'll be using our yellow yarn here, and you won't need too much of this yellow yarn. You'll just need a little bit, but we'll start with a magic loop. So for the magic loop, we're going to hold it like our finger gun, pew pew. We're going to take the end of our yarn, wrap it around our index finger 3 times, and then grab it with our middle and ring finger. Okay, take a crochet hook, place it under the 2 loops closest to you, and loop onto that last one there, and just pull it on under. And then we're going to grab another strand and pull it through. That'll make a chain. Now we can pull it off of our finger, and we will single crochet 6 times into this little hole here over these 2 strands of yarn. And that will be our first round for the fishing rod. So we're going to single crochet 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. Now we can pull this a little tighter. I like to pull the end here to look for which one's going in, and then find that one and pull it so that this loop pulls tighter. And then pull the... that was a bad explanation, but I have a video actually teaching that if you're having more difficulty with that. Yeah, just search for magic loop in Club Crochet. Okay, so that's going to be the end of row 1. Now, like I said before, this part is going to be worked in the round, so we're working in a circle without ever turning. For round 2, we're going to go into our first stitch right here, and we're going to make a single crochet into that first stitch, and then an increase into the next stitch. So 2 stitches, 2 single crochets into the next stitch, so 1 and 2. Okay, and we're going to repeat that 3 times total. So let's do it again. There's our second repeat, single crochet 1, and then increase 2. Okay, let's do it again. Single crochet 1, and then an increase. And that is going to bring us up from 6 stitches to 9 stitches. That's going to be the end of the repeats as well. Okay, so for round 3, we'll be single crocheting 7 and then do an invisible decrease. So we're going to go ahead and single crochet 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this will be our 7th stitch right here. And then the next stitch we'll be doing is an invisible decrease. We'll take our crochet hook, go into the front loops of the next 2 stitches. Okay, so just take you might need your nail for this, but you need to go into that one front loop, go under, and then into the second front loop right there. Okay, and then we'll basically be doing a single crochet under those loops. Okay. Now before finishing up this stitch, the next round normally would be all yellow, but I have a method called the perfect stripe, which is a great way to make it so that it's hard to tell where this round begins and ends. It like makes just a very, very straight line. So I'll be doing that for this, but if this is confusing for you, then just make it all yellow. It won't really matter, but it just kind of looks a little bit cleaner if you do the perfect stripe method. Now for the perfect stripe method, we need to grab our main color and place it in between these two stitches and just finish up our invisible decrease around this main color. Okay. And we will be doing a slip stitch into the next stitch over. So go into the next stitch and we'll be making a slip stitch with our yellow yarn. Okay. Now we will flip over to our purple yarn so that it's on top, yarn over, and pull through to make a chain. Okay. Now for this next round, we're actually doing, it's going to be kind of a tricky round in general, but we're also going to be working so that the purple is on top and then the yellow is on bottom. So we'll switch back over to the yellow, okay, because we want to go into the next stitch with yellow. We're going to actually go into the exact same stitch that we made that slip stitch into. So we take our crochet hook, look for where that slip stitch is coming out of right there, and yarn over with yellow and pull it through. Okay. There we go. Now we'll be switching back over to our purple, yarning over with purple and pulling through the two. Okay, and that's going to make a single crochet. So we'll be single crocheting 2. So there's 1. Let's do our next stitch. We'll switch over to yellow, go into the stitch, yarn over and pull through with yellow, and switch back over to purple. Okay. Now I have a better explanation for this. If you go to clubcrochet.com/stripe or check out the link, there might be a link right here or in the description below for the video for the perfect stripe. It might help you along with this round. Again, if this is a little tricky, just do it all yellow. It's not a big deal. Okay, so we've done our 2 single crochets. Now we need to do an invisible decrease. Okay, so we're going to switch over so that yellow is on top. Take our crochet hook, go under the front loops of the next 2 stitches. So get this purple out of the way. Front loops of the next 2. So there's 1 and 2. Let's get our stitches back over. And we're going to yarn over. Let's cut this. Let's actually also cut this yarn just because it's a little bit in the way and annoying. It's hard to tell what's going on. Okay, so we're under these 2 front loops. We're going to grab the yellow, yarn over and pull under the 2 front loops, and then finish the stitch with purple. There we go. 2 single crochets, invisible decrease. And we're going to do that one more time. So we're going to do 2 single crochets, invisible decrease. So switch back over to yellow, go into the next stitch, which is right here. It can be kind of confusing, but this is the next stitch. Pull through with yellow, switch back to purple, and pull through with purple to finish that single crochet. So there's 1. Let's do another single crochet. It's very difficult to do at this size as well, so I totally understand. Okay, and to finish this up, we'll do 1 more invisible decrease right here. We're going to go into these front loops, 1 and 2, pull through with yellow, switch back to purple, and pull through with purple. Okay, and that'll actually finish up our round 4 of half color changes too, which was a little bit tricky, but kind of fun. Okay. Now, it looks like these stitches are pretty far apart, but you actually just ignored all this yellow part. We're going to go into that purple. We're going to make a slip stitch into that. And this is only for the perfect stripe method. We'll make a slip stitch into that purple, like so. There we go. And we'll chain 1 with purple. Okay, and that will officially end that row. Okay, a round rather. For round 5, we're just going to be doing a single crochet into each stitch around. Now before we start, let's cut this yellow again. Cut that one short. We don't need yellow anymore actually. We're actually done with it, which is pretty nice. Okay. And we're just going to do a single crochet in each stitch. Now we're going to do what we did in the last round because we did that slip stitch. So we're going to single crochet into the same stitch that we made our slip stitch into right here. Okay. and we're just going to work our single crochets all the way around. So there's 1, might be easiest to count here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here's our last one right here is going to be 6. Okay, now we don't need to do that whole slip stitch thing anymore because we don't need to do any more color changes, so we can just continue on. For round 6, we're going to be doing a single crochet into our first stitch. It's kind of hard to see where our first stitch is, but if you look down, if you follow past it right here, there's our first V, so that's going to be our first stitch. So we're going to take a crochet hook and just kind of go right there. And we're going to do a single crochet in our first stitch like that. There we go. And then we'll do an invisible decrease in our next stitch. Okay, so we're going to go into the front loops, the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and do a single crochet under those front loops for an invisible decrease. There's 2. Now we'll do it that we'll repeat that one more time. We'll do another single crochet into our next stitch right here. Okay, and then an invisible decrease. Okay, so we're going into our front loops. This is going to be really difficult. So what I'm going to do is I open my stitch up by pulling the loop out, take the crochet hook, we're going to go into the next front loop right here, and then front loop after right there. There we go. Okay. And now you should have 4 stitches around for round 6. Okay, so for rounds 7 through 12, that's 6 rounds total. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 6 rounds. We're going to just be doing a single crochet into each stitch. This can be a little tricky because there's only 4 stitches around, but to make it easier, pull your loop out like so, then find your place with your crochet hook, so now you got more movement. Here's our first stitch. Go, boom. I just kind of poke it on in, poke it out the top, and then pull that stitch, pull that loop a little tighter. And then we'll do a single crochet. Okay, we're just going to be doing single crochets for a while now, for 6 rounds of 4 stitches. So that's going to be 24 stitches in a row. So just do 24 stitches, and then you'll be done with this fishing bowl. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll be back in just a sec. Okay, so I finished my 6 rounds of single crochets here. To finish the fishing rod up, we're going to go into the next stitch and just do a slip stitch. So we'll yarn over and just go ahead and pull through and pull through again. And then we'll cut, leaving a long enough end to sew onto the forehead. So that's probably fine. And we'll just pull it on through. And there we go. We've made our fishing rod. Now, when you sew this onto the head, we'll be using a pipe cleaner to keep its shape more downward, like so. But we'll get to that when it comes to sewing the head on. Okay, so next up, the last part before we get going on the body is we want to make the inside of the mouth. So let's go ahead and grab our black yarn. And I suggest having just a little thread like this to just keep track of where your stitches are for this round, because it can be a little bit tricky. Sir Pearl Gray does this kind of thing with in the round for this pattern where the stitches are kind of topsy-turvy, and it gives it this this interesting shape to your piece. It's very subtle, but it kind of can be a little confusing as you're going around. So I suggest using a stitch marker if you can. So we'll go ahead and we're going to make a magic loop. And for round 1, we're just going to single crochet 6 times into a magic loop. You can also use the chain 2 method if you feel more comfortable with that. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right, we'll pull this a little bit tighter. There we go. Okay, it's going to be the end of round 1. For round 2, for the inside of the mouth, we'll be increasing into each stitch around. So just like we did, actually we haven't done this yet. So we'll be going into each stitch all the way around. There should be 6 stitches total. And we'll just go ahead and do an increase, or 2 single crochets into each stitch. For our first stitch here, I'm actually going to place our stitch marker in between it, just so I know where the end of this round is. And we'll go ahead and do our first single crochet like that. And there we go. There's our second single crochet for that increase. That's one increase, 2, 3, and this is going to bring you up from 6 stitches to 12 stitches. 4 or our 8th stitch. There's our 5th increase or 10th stitch, and here's our last stitch right there. Okay, and that's going to be an increase into each stitch. That's going to be the end of round 2. For round 3, and here's where it starts to get a little topsy-turvy, we'll be starting by doing a single or an increase into the next stitch. So we'll do an increase right here. So that's 1 and 2. And then we'll do a single crochet in the next. So an increase, then a single crochet. And we're going to repeat that 3 times. So let's do 2 more repeats. An increase, and then a single crochet. Okay, one more time. An increase, and then a single crochet. Okay, and now we're going to do it the other way around. We're going to do a single crochet, and then an increase. And we'll repeat that 3 times total. So let's do 2 more repeats of that. Single crochet, and then an increase. Single crochet, and then an increase. And that is going to be 18 stitches around by the end of that round. All right, now we'll pull this yellow over. And for round 4, we'll be doing pretty much the exact same thing. We'll be doing an increase into the first stitch, and then single crochet 2. 1, 2. Okay, and we'll keep doing that. We'll repeat that all the way around. Okay, I mean not all the way around. We'll repeat that 3 times. I'm sorry. We'll repeat that 3 times. So let's do that again. Increase, single crochet 2. Let's repeat that 2 more times. An increase, and then single crochet 2. 1 and 2. Then an increase. This is going to be your 3rd repeat. And single crochet 2. And now we'll flip it topsy-turvy. We'll do 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and then an increase. And we'll repeat that 3 times. So there's our first repeat. Let's do 2 more. 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then an increase. Okay. And for our last repeat here, we'll do 2 single crochets, and then an increase. Okay, now for round 5, we'll just be doing single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So we'll just be doing 1 single crochet all the way around. That's going to be 24 stitches total. And as you can see, it's less subtle in the mouth here than it is for the head. But this strange increase method, which I've never really seen before, makes it makes a subtly different change for the shape of the head, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, it's always fun to see another designer's methods. You know, when I first read it, I was like, "What? Why?" But I like it. I think it's a cool little method for making a very interesting shaped head. All right, so that's going to be 24 stitches around. Now into this last stitch, or to finish this up, we'll be doing a slip stitch into the next stitch right here. And we'll go ahead and pull a decent amount, like that much yarn out. We'll cut the yarn, and we'll just pull that all the way through. And we'll use this for sewing into the mouth. Now you're going to be having this folded in half, so it's going to be like that, kind of. You can see how that could be an anglerfish mouth. Oh, we can pull this stitch marker out as well. Okay, so that's the mouth. We'll be showing this inside of it in just a little bit. Next up, let's get working on the body of our piece finally. All right, for our body, we're going to be using our main color here, our main purple color, and it actually starts the exact same as the inside of the mouth. So we'll go ahead and make a magic loop method. And for round 1, we're just going to single crochet 6 times into the magic loop. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go ahead and pull that tighter. Okay. For round 2 of the body, we're going to be doing an increase into each stitch all the way around. So we'll just do 2 single crochets into each stitch around. That's 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 10, and 11, and 12. There we go. Okay, so round 3 is going to actually be worked the exact same as round 3 for the mouth. We're going to be doing that topsy-turvy increasing round. So I'm going to grab some different color yarn for a stitch marker. Place it in between, and we can just crochet around it for the beginning of this round here. Actually, let me cut this tail as well. You don't need it, and it'll just get in the way. Okay, so for round 3, we're going to start with an increase into our first stitch. And then we'll do an increase, or a single crochet after that. So in one increase, and then a single crochet. And we'll repeat that 3 times. So there's our first repeat. Let's do another one. Increase. And a single crochet. An increase. And a single crochet. That's going to be our 3 repeats of that. Now we'll switch it up, go the other way around. We'll do a single crochet and then an increase. And we'll repeat that 3 times. Okay, let's do it again. Single crochet, this is going to be our second repeat, and then an increase. And then our last repeat, a single crochet, and then our increase. Okay, let's pull this stitch marker out a little bit. This is a little long, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it a little shorter as well. And that will be the end of round 3. For round 4, it'll be exactly the same as our body. We'll be doing an increase into our first stitch. And then 2 single crochets. 1 and, oops. There we go. I lost a thread there. 2. Let's keep doing that. We're going to do that 3 times total. So let's do another increase. And then 2 single crochets. 1, 2. And one more time, an increase. 1, 2. And then our single crochets. 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And then we'll flip that backwards. Let's do 2 single crochets. 1, 2, and then an increase. And we'll repeat that 3 times total. So there's our first repeat, 2 more times. 2 single crochets. 1, 2, and then an increase. And then again, 2 single crochets. 1 and 2, and then our increase. Okay, and that's going to be the end of our 4th round. For round 5, we're going to start with an increase. Okay, so start with an increase, and then we'll be doing 22 single crochets. So we're doing single crochets basically till you come to the last stitch. Okay, so just 22 single crochets. Okay, that's going to be the 22 single crochets, and then into our last stitch right here, we'll do another increase. Okay, and that should bring you up to 26 stitches around. So you should now have 26 stitches. We're going to flip it inside out like this. Okay, so this is the way it's actually sewn on. And we'll go ahead and take this color stitch marker and flip it under. Now for our next round, round 6, we're just going to be doing a single crochet into each stitch all the way around. So that's going to be 26 stitches total. Just single crochets all the way around town. Okay, and that's going to be the end of round 6. For round 7, we're going to be doing an increase into our first stitch. Let's get this marker back over. Marker. Let's do an increase into our first stitch. And now we're going to be doing 24 stitches around, single crochets rather. So 1 increase, 24 single crochets. Oop, there we go. Lost it there. And then we'll be doing an increase after those 24 single crochets. Okay, and here's going to be our last stitch. We'll be doing another increase. Okay, and that's going to be the end of round 7. For round 8, we're going to be doing a single crochet into each stitch around, and you should have 28 stitches by now. Okay, so just 28 single crochets all the way around. Just a single crochet into each stitch. Okay, and that's going to be the end of round 8. For round 9, we're going to be doing an increase into our first stitch, and then 26 single crochets. So just single crochet all the way around 26 times. Okay, and here's going to be our last stitch right here, our increase. Okay, so it was 26 single crochets and then an increase. Now you should be up at 30 stitches by now. Okay, now I'm just going to get this tucked in there for just a sec, because it's kind of getting in my way. All right, so for round 10, we're going to be making the mouth in this round, so we'll do some like tricky stuff for that. For that, we're going to single crochet 10. Let's do 10 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and here's our 10th. Okay, so 10 single crochets. Now we'll do 14 chains. Okay, so chain 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Okay, so 14 chains. Now we'll skip 10 stitches. Okay, so skip 10 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here's our 11th. And we'll go ahead and put our crochet hook in there. And now for our next 10 stitches, we want to do a single crochet. So it's 10 single crochets now. Okay, you kind of see you got this like weird floppy jaw thing going on here. You can see how it's going to be the mouth. Okay. And we're just single crocheting to the end of this round now. Okay, and that's going to be the end of round 10. For round 11, we're going to be doing 2 invisible decreases. Okay, so we're going to be doing 2 invisible decreases. We'll go 1, 2, buckle my shoe, and then let's do another invisible decrease. 1, 2, out the door. I think I skipped a line. All right, so 2 invisible decreases, and now we'll be doing 26 single crochets, including into the chains here. Okay, so we're going to do 26. So 1, 2, 3, and you want to do your single crochets into these chains kind of in a specific way, just to make it a little bit easier when it comes to sewing the mouth on. You actually have 2 options. One, you can single crochet into these back loops. So if you look at these chains here, you look at the back here, you see these little spines? These are the back loops. Though that might be the easiest way to find out what you're going to sew on the mouth. So let's go ahead and do it that way. But in the beginning of this, it can be a little tricky. We'll turn this one all the way around. Actually, let's get our crochet hook out a little bit. You can also just go into these front loops right here, but you can kind of screw up sewing on the mouth that way pretty easy, I found. So I find it easier just to go into these back loops. So here's our first back loop. That's the hardest one. And there we go. Okay. So we'll just single crochet into each one of these chains, and I'm just going to be working into the back loops because I find it easier to sew on the mouth if you're working into the back loops. Okay. And it can be a little bit tricky, but I really think it's worth it. Okay. As you can see, I need my nail to get under those back loops for some of these. Actually, pretty much for most of them. Because I did those chains a little too tight, I think. If I did them a little looser, this would be a lot easier. But I also might end up having like weird holes in my stitches, so, you know, it's a give and take kind of thing. I really like the way that Sir Pearl Grey did this mouth. It makes it really, I don't know, it's just like kind of a fun little method to use. It's so simple, so intuitive, I guess. And yet, I just never really used this method. It'd be good for making puppets, I could imagine. So this is classic Louis Loops ranting here. Yeah, I made one originally and I was like, oh man, I could really turn this into an ogre mouth really easy. But I'm always thinking about goblins, you know. Okay, oops. There we go. This might be a slow part of the video. Okay, so I'm in the last few back loops here. Actually, I think this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last one. This last one's kind of tricky to get into. I'm really flipping it upside down. But it's right there. I can see it. I can see it, but it's maybe a little too difficult. Let's not go in the back loop for the last one then. Let's switch things up and see what happens. Because that last back loop was a little tricky, I'm just not going to go into it. I'm going to do into just the top of that chain for the last chain. Here we go. Okay. And then we will continue single crocheting. So that was only, I'm not sure, but I just know that the last 2 stitches that we need to do are invisible decreases. I could come back and count it, but let's just go till we get to the last 4 stitches here. So let's count back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 2 more single crochets. Okay, so we have 4 more stitches left, and we want to do 2 invisible decreases. Okay, so we're going to go into the front 2, 1 loop, 2 loops. There we go. Let's do it again. 1 loop, 2 loops. There we go. All right, and that's going to finish up that round. As you can see, you should have 30 stitches around now. Now I'm going to pull this loop out because we're going to be sewing the mouth in now, and like the forehead and all this other fancy stuff. So let's start by sewing on the fishing rod head onto the forehead, and it's going to be like right in the center, like boom, right like that. Okay, we're actually going to be doing it into round 6. Now before you get sewing this on, you want to add your pipe cleaner first. So grab half of a pipe cleaner. This should be pretty good. I've already cut mine in half. If you haven't cut yours in half, I suggest using pliers like this. You can see these little sharp ends on the inside of those pliers. It makes it easier to cut pipe cleaners. Any pliers should pretty much have them. It'll just save your scissors some trouble. So once you get half of a pipe cleaner, we're going to fold that in half like so. And we're just going to start twisting it to like double up the pipe cleaner. Okay. And this is going to go into our fishing rod. Okay, so that's pretty much all you need to do, just that much. We're going to take it and we're just going to start putting it into the fishing rod there. And you might need to tighten that top to make it a little sharper to get it in there. Okay, and the best way I found is just to start twisting it in. Okay, and just go to where the end is, right there. Probably good. Okay, now we're going to take these two ends. We're going to count back to round 6. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is round 6 right there. So let's go ahead. I'm going to do this weird thing right now. I'm going to fold it in half so I know exactly where the center is. And then we're going to count up from round 6. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's this round. It's going to be that stitch and the stitch next to it right here. That should be pretty much right in the center. Yeah, that's pretty good. We've got a little unicorn horn, it almost looks like. Okay. And we're just going to take the inside here and take these two ends and just twist them together. That's going to keep that pipe cleaner locked on. And we want to sew this on. So grab a darning needle. You might want a thicker one than this, but this is the one closest to me right now. Twist it around a little bit. And we're just going to stitch this on, just stitch by stitch. So we're just going to go, we only need 4, so we're just going to go where, let's see, yeah, just go where our pipe cleaners went in. So we'll go into where the pipe cleaner goes in and out through where, oops, the next pipe cleaner comes out right here. Pull that. And we're going to go into the next stitch right here, down. And to the next one. Let's see, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. That should be it right here. Let's go with this stitch. Looks like we might pull in it a little far, but that's okay. We need to fit all 4 of them in anyhow. Down and out. It's so hard to explain sewing pieces together because it's really a case-by-case basis. You know, there's no... I find it's very difficult to explain it for patterns. There we go. Sewed it on. Now, I don't have anything to knot this onto on the inside. I guess I could use the middle. Nope, I cut the middle stitch. So I'm just going to kind of let it loose and just let it sit in there. It's not going to come undone unless I'm really messing with it. If the only way it's going to come undone is if I do it on purpose. Now, the cool thing with that pipe cleaner is that we can bend this down to look more like a lantern now. But for now, let's actually bend it up. And the reason is so it's out of our way a little bit when we sew in the mouth, which is going to be our next part. Sewing in the mouth. So we'll grab this. And as you can see, it's already got kind of a upward look to it like that. So let's start by cutting this inside one right here. Okay, and then thread this other end on a needle. Okay. And there should be exactly 24 stitches, both in the top of the jaw and the bottom of the jaw. There should be 14 in the bottom and 10 in the top. So that should give you a general idea of where the stitches go. And this is going to be folded in half. So if you want, you can really fold it in half and pinch it to make sure just before putting it in. That should keep its shape a little bit. We're going on the inside. And the trick here is that you want to make sure you're only working into the back loops of all the stitches. So that's why I made these into the single crochets into the back loops of the chains. It's because you can very clearly see there's 2 sides here. There's one on the outside, one on the inside. Let me get even closer here. One on the outside, one on the inside. I like sewing this in so that every stitch is on the inside stitch. So it gives a very clear border. Let me show you on a finished piece. You can see there's a very clear border to where the lip is. You see? Okay, so that's because I worked only into those back loops. So what you want to do, let's pull that a little tighter. We're going to go into the back loop of the first stitch on the bottom of the mouth right here. And then we'll go into both loops into our first stitch on the mouth. Okay, so back loop on that, both loops on that. Pull it out, and then we'll go into the next back loop. Next back loop right here, and then under both loops on the mouth. We're just going to continue that all the way around. Back loop, both loop. And I'll continue that. When I get to the top of the mouth, you can see I can do the one on the inside right here. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just did the, oh, I got one more stitch right here, it looks like. And if I just go through that one, there we go. That's going to be the end of sewing in the mouth. Kind of see how he's got a little mouth here. Hello. Well, it's kind of hard to make him into a puppet right now, but you get the gist. Go, we got the mouth. There we go. And like the other side, there's not really anything for me to sew this onto. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to hide it into a few stitches just on the inside of the mouth. Just to hide this end in before we cut it. There we go. We'll cut it close. There we go. Now, the next thing you want to do is we will sew on the teeth. Because he's looking a little bit like he's missing some teeth right now. So, let's grab... Now we have a bunch of different types of teeth here. We've got small ones, big ones, you know the deal. So, there are going to be 7 large teeth that go along the bottom and 5 small teeth that go along the top. I like sewing the top ones on first because they're a little bit more difficult. And when I sew these teeth on, there are 2 different sides to these teeth. As you can see, there's this way and the other way. And it's kind of subtle to see in these small teeth, I guess. You can kind of barely see. Well, let's do it on the long teeth and see what it looks like. There should be a slight turn to them. Yeah, see, look. If you look in the big teeth, you can see that it's slightly curved to the left. Whereas, you know, if you turn it the other way, it'll curve to the other way. I like to mix this up. Some of them go one way, some of them go the other way, and I just don't like to make them all the same because he's supposed to have a jagged, she's supposed to have a jaggedy kind of mouth to her. So just don't really think about which way the teeth get sewn on. Now to sew them on, we'll be threading onto the tail ends here. There should be 2 tail ends. Let's go and we'll count over, and there should be 10 holes here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh wait, I counted it wrong, but you know what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And each one of these threads is going to go into one of those. So let's go 1. Just pull it in. You don't need to pull it tight just yet. Here's our second one right here. You just need to get them through. And once they're pulled tight, then you can pull it in. And you see how it's above that lip? Now, when you want to pull this tooth tight, you want to pull it so that these knots get pulled into the mouth. Okay, so look at where it gets. You can look on the other end. You can kind of see it a little bit better. See how the knot gets pulled in there? And there's the other knot. You want those 2 knots to be pulled in. It helps hold the tooth in a little bit better. And then you can double knot it on the inside. You can cut these ends. We'll go ahead and cut them just to keep it more clean. And we'll just use this to stuff our character up a little bit as well. Okay, so we've got 1 tooth in. And I'll just go ahead and do that all the way along the top of the mouth. So here's going to be their next spot right here. And here's our next small tooth. I'm not thinking about which way it's facing. I'm just choosing one by random. Usually that's not the way I do it. Usually I make sure that it's facing one way or the other. But I really want Angie here to have a jagged mouth. There we go. In like that. And we'll just do the same thing, pulling it far enough so that each knot gets pulled in. 1 and 2. Even made a satisfying sound there. And just double knot it on the inside. So I'll go ahead and put those all along the top, and I'll come back to show you where to put them on the bottom. Just a second. Okay, so I actually started going on the bottom teeth, not realizing that it wasn't recording. So first off, I finished up the top mouth right there. You can see I've started on the bottom mouth of the mouth. I actually undid the mouth, so I pushed it out a little bit to make it a little easier to see where I'm going in. Now, I started on the bottom. I'm sorry about that, my bad. But there's going to be exactly like the top, a spot for each end of one of these threads. So if you just go and follow along these bottom parts, right there, you'll take the ends of your large teeth. Make sure to pinch it so that's nice and sharp. And then thread each of these ends, pull it through, and go into the next stitch right here. Thread the next end. It's hard to do because this needle is very small for me. There we go. There we go. And then we'll just like the top, we want to pull it far enough so that that knot gets poked out. You can see it pulling right there. Sorry, I'm a little off camera there. Pull it so that just that knot pokes out, and then the other side. Let me get a better grip on it. There we go. I flipped it upside down. There we go. See how each of these knots poke through? That's perfect. And you want to just double knot that on the inside. Okay, and like I said, there should be a spot for each tooth. And then when we untuck the mouth, it'll all work out right. I'll show you once we're done sewing on the teeth. This looks like an insane abomination right now, but once I'm done sewing on the teeth, you'll see how it kind of works together. It looks like a weird worm. Anyhow, I'll keep going, and we'll be done just in a little bit. Okay, so I finished sewing on all the teeth, and I know this looks insane, but this is how we fix this. So we I poked this mouth out. Let's poke it back in. If you actually pinch it in a little bit, might make it a little bit better. And we'll have to pretty much be tweaking this all the way until the end for it to look good. When I was first making this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's getting too crazy. But at the end, it really paid off. So you can kind of see, you can get an idea of how it's looking, how jagged and crazy this mouth is, which is how an anglerfish mouth really looks. It's crazy and scary and spooky, and yeah. We can kind of turn down this fishing rod now a little bit and see how our mouth is kind of shaken up to be a terrifying jaw. And yeah, let's continue crocheting. We got a little bit of a mess here, but that's fine. It's going to be hidden on the inside anyhow. So let's get our crochet hook back in there. And we are actually on round 12 now of our pattern. So for round 12, we're going to single crochet 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do an invisible decrease. And we'll repeat that 6 times in a row. Single crochet 3, 1, this is our second repeat. 2, 3, and then our invisible decrease. And by repeating this 6 times, we're going to go down from 30 stitches back down to 24 stitches around. So 1, 2, 3, then the 2 front loops. 1, 2, and 3, and then front loops. Man, what a scary thing an anglerfish is. Did you know anglerfish are really very interesting fish in general. Did you know that this type of anglerfish, the one, these big ones with the scary teeth and everything, they are actually always female. The male anglerfish is much, much tinier, just a little like almost like a tadpole, like very tiny fish. And there we go. Ooh. Well, we'll talk about more about anglerfish facts in just a sec. Okay, so that's going to be the end. I'm just getting this fuzz out of the way there. That's going to be the end of round 12. I know it's pretty insane now. Okay, so for round 13, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and then our invisible decrease. So front loop, there we go, and through both. Okay, we'll repeat that 6 times. So let's do another repeat, 1 and 2, and then front loop, ba-da-boom. Okay, so we'll just keep doing that around. So back to male-female anglerfish. When a male anglerfish and a female anglerfish breed, male fish actually globs onto the female fish and kind of like molds into her. So he's just always connected to her. It's really very, very strange. I definitely suggest you look it up because it is a strange phenomenon in the ocean world. I guess there's a lot of strange things down there, but that's one of them. They're just so alien, especially when you get to that deep sea fish. Those ones are so spooky. I love watching David Attenborough tell me about them. Okay, so we're at our last repeat here of our 2 single crochets, and then our last invisible decrease. And this should bring us down all the way down to 18 stitches around. So we're coming down to the end here. Okay, we're going to pull this out a little bit. We want to add just the final pieces for our fish to get it all put together a little bit before we start to actually close it up. And what I'm doing right now is I'm pitching the mouth in just to keep it shaped downwards a little bit more. Okay, so first we want to add our eyes on either side of the mouth, 2 stitches away. So let's grab some safety bead eyes. Anglerfish have very tiny little eyes because they're living deep in the ocean, so they don't really need their sight as much. They don't need to see very far away, so they have tiny eyes actually. So we're going to use these little eyes, and I'm just going to do 2 stitches away from the mouth. Okay, so 1, 2, like that. Let's go with like so. So yeah, just a couple stitches away from each side of the mouth. Oops, 2. And let's look at that from the side. That might be, let's look at it on a finished one. Let's see if that's too far. I feel that that is just 1 stitch too far. So let's move it over 1 more. Yeah, just really close to the mouth. Should we do that on this side? Yeah, let's see what it looks like. I like messing around with the eyes. That might be a little bit close on this side. Yeah, let's do it 1 stitch further on the other side. That looks pretty good. Okay, so let's go ahead and lock those in. And now, to make this anglerfish extra cute, we want to add some cheeks. Just some cute little blushing cheeks. So we need a little strand of our purple yarn. Thread it on a needle here. Just a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to come out from one stitch away from either side of the eye. Okay, so just that side, just further towards the back. And we're going to go into where the eye actually is. This sharper needle is actually pretty nice for this. Just go right into where that eye is. This might be easier to do before you put the eye on, but it's not that hard. Just like so. Okay, look how cute. She's blushing. And you can just double knot that on the inside. One and two. You don't need to double knot it too tight. I'm not really worried about it. And we can cut that close. We'll do the same on the other side. Okay, one stitch away towards the back, and then down straight through the eye. Right through the eye of the beast. I'm sorry, Angie, you're not a beast. I didn't mean it. There we go. I'm just going to pull this out just a little bit so it's a little bit puffier. There we go. Yeah, I like that. Go ahead and double knot that. I obviously used a little bit more purple here than I really needed. Okay. And the next thing you want to do is you want to sew on the small fins and the large fin. So let's start, of course, with our small fins. The small fins will go on either side of the face. Actually, just a few stitches away from the eye, just like one stitch over from where the blush is on either side. I'm thinking that maybe this eye I did put on too far back, but whatever. Okay, so just one stitch away from the back right there. We'll take the fin, and actually we can just cut this close, this other purple one right here. We can cut it really close. I don't know why I kept it on there. Just cut it nice and close to the end there just to hide it in. There we go. Okay, so we're going to start, the fins go this way so that the purple, the light purple is closer to the bottom. So thread on this light purple first. Okay. Just pull that on through. And then we can do the dark purple one stitch above wherever we did the light purple. Okay, so it's going to be really close together, and that's going to pinch in the inside of this fin and leave the outside fanned out a little bit, make it look a little bit more like a fin. We're just going to pull those through, and just like the teeth, you want to pull it through enough so that the knot just pokes on in. See that? So the knots just poke on in there. See? And we'll just double knot those. One and two. We can go ahead and cut those nice and close. Save this for stuffing as well. And we can do that on the other side as well. See, he's got no fins, just a little fin. Okay, let's grab our other small fin. In this small fin, I have a lot of extra threads here, so let's go ahead and cut all those loose. Let's just cut these two small ones. We don't need them. Okay, and we'll do the same thing. We'll start with the purple, light purple rather. Thread that on a needle. We're going to go one stitch away from the eye, or from the blush, and then one stitch above the blush. I'm going to go one stitch up and over, but towards the back a little bit more, so that it's more pointed downwards like that. Instead of, if I did the other one, it'll be pointed a little bit more upwards. It might be a little too close to the face. So we're going up and over to the left, just slightly on the other eye here. Okay. being a hassle to sew on, but that's okay. Or like to thread in. It's because this darning needle's so darn small. Okay, and just pull those so that the knots come on through. Double knotted on the inside. Okay, we'll just cut that close. Put that to the side. And the last bit is the tail. Okay, so you can kind of see how our little Angie here is coming together. She's so cute. This tail obviously going to go on the back. So we have two ends here. We'll go ahead and cut these two hidden ones. We'll start with the bottom. Now the tail is actually 3 stitches away. So first we want to go ahead and just go somewhere between the two. Let's go like right here. And remember how I just went, all I did was I went 1 up for the side fins. Well, for the tail, we're going to go 2 up. So we're going 1, 2. We're going to go like right here. Now, before I do that, let me just get rid of this stitch markers. We don't need it, and it's just kind of getting in our way now. And being a bit annoying to get out. There we go. Throw that to the side. Okay, so let's count up 2. 1, 2. Right there seems pretty good. Thread that on the needle. And thread this light purple. Here we go. And we'll just go ahead and double knot those on the inside as well. You can sew this on a little bit more if you're giving this to, I don't know, a kid or something, and you're afraid that they might pull it tight and pull the tail off. But it'll probably be fine as long as we just don't cut this too short. So just leave it like that. Okay, so now we've got all of our fins sewn on. You can see here's how the back fin will look. Got our back fin on, our side fins on. Next up, let's stuff it just a little bit. We're just going to stuff the top of the mouth. Okay, so keep this bottom part a little opened. Okay, so that she's got more of a underbite, because anglerfish have this really crazy underbite. Okay, so grab some stuffing. And again, you don't need too much, but I'm just going to go ahead and stuff the top of the head up. Just enough so that she's not too squishy. Get a little bit of meat on her bones. I wonder what an anglerfish's bones look like. Probably really creepy. Okay, like that. Okay. Just coming together. Let's make sure all those teeth are where they're supposed to be. Just pushing them in a little bit, making sure those knots are kind of pulled out on the inside. Get this fuzz off of it. All right, she's coming along here. Tweak the tail a little bit. Yeah, she's looking good. All right, let's just do our final few rounds and then stuff her and sew her closed. Okay, so pull that a little tighter. All right, so for round 14, we're going to be doing 1 single crochet and then an invisible decrease by going to the front loops of the next 2 stitches. And there we go. And we'll repeat that 6 times total. Okay, so another single crochet and then an invisible decrease. Here's our second repeat. And this is going to bring us down from 12 stitches to from 18 stitches to 12 stitches. I'm jumping ahead by 1 round. Now you know what happens next. Can't be a surprise ending. And we'll go ahead and do these front loops. This round can obviously be a little bit difficult because we're getting a little small here. Now one thing, well, let's finish this round first. There we go. And then we got one more here. Single crochet and an invisible decrease. There we go. Okay. Now, one place I forgot that I like to stuff a little bit, just a little bit, is in the bottom of the jaw, like right here in the bottom of this jaw, because it's kind of hard to fit it in there. So let's go ahead and just grab a little bit of stuffing. That might be a little too low, but let's see what that looks like. Let's go ahead and stuff that in just to that bottom of the jaw. Just a little bit. Actually, that might have been more than we wanted. That's pretty good. And I guess I could have done this after our last round, honestly. Okay, she looks pretty good. She might need a little bit of stuffing over there. Let's go ahead and just a tiny, tiny bit. Tiny bit of stuffing for Angie's lower jaw. There we go. Okay, let's finish this up with our last round. For our final round here, we're going to be just doing a decrease into each stitch all the way around it, and not an invisible decrease. We're going to be doing a sharp decrease. For a sharp decrease, we go into the next stitch and pull a loop through, then into the next stitch right here, pull a second loop through, and with that second loop, we'll pull through the 2 loops on the hook. That's going to be called a sharp decrease, and that's going to really pull it in for our final round. We'll be doing that 6 times in a row. So here we're doing our 3rd time. There's 4th. Grabbing a little bit of stuffing as we go, but we'll just clean that up afterwards. Okay, keep going. Whoops. There we go. 1, 2. Buckle my shoe. And our last bit right here. There's our, whoop, this one's being a hassle. There we go. There's our last one. Okay, we can cut the yarn, pull it tight. Oh, we forgot to stuff it with all our extra stuff, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead and throw just a little bit of stuffing into this back right here. Just a bit. I just don't want Angie feeling empty and hungry, although she does have this nice lantern here to catch her some food if she's hungry. All right, that's pretty good. All right, there we go, and we'll finish it up by sewing her closed on the inside here. Thread it on a needle and sew it closed. I have a video. If you're not sure how to sew it closed, check out my video. I'll put a link here and in the description below. 2, 3. There we go. All right. Okay. Whew. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions whatsoever, and if you have any suggestions on future patterns. Let me know if you have any ideas. Go follow at Sir Pearl Gray. He's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I think Reddit too. I see him all over the place. He makes amazing stuff. He's got a bunch of cool patterns, and I'm going to see if I can work with him in the future for more patterns. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to tweak these teeth up a little bit. If you like this video, please like it down below. It helps out the channel quite a lot. And, you know, subscribe and stuff. And if you want to check out more patterns like my tiny seahorse pattern, check out the link on screen now or in the description below or at clubcrochet.com/seahorse. Thanks so much again for watching. Pasta la pizza and happy hooking. Bye. Bye.